Hello, everybody. Welcome to the impromptu live stream. I do apologize for that overlay there. For those who are interested, this picture is actually me when I was 20 something. I was, oh goodness, I was about 22, 23, and that was Kate Walton Elliott's Morris Minor, which she still owns. And that was me underneath the back of Kate Walton Elliott's Morris Minor when we were both much younger than we are today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this impromptu live stream. Nope, that's they were my feet underneath Kate's car. That was back when I was very young. Half a lifetime ago, more than half a lifetime ago, or nearly half a lifetime ago. Okay, so the purpose of this video here is nobody on the team knows I'm doing this. Nobody on the team knows I'm doing this because this is a particular. This is me trying to. I'm just gonna say it. This is me trying to fix something for a team member after having spent what feels like several hours trying to get this done. Dog just opened the door. I do apologize. It's like he knows when there is a live stream happening. All right, you will notice there's no Michael behind me right now. There's no Michael behind me. There is no Michael behind me because Michael's car is out of action right now. It's sitting on my driveway. Michael's car has decided to stop working. And so Michael is working from home on some third-party production work today at the house using one of our spare laptops. Which, Michael does on occasion. We try to reduce the team's carbon footprint wherever possible. We try and make sure that it's possible for team members to work remotely when possible. And we also try and make sure that everybody has, easy access to getting to work. We try and make sure everybody has reliable and working transport. But if you will watch the channel last week, you will know that Michael's car stopped working. It just randomly stopped working, and it gave us this error: P0AE9. Now, for those who don't know, that is a thermistor that measures the temperature of the battery. A particular portion of the battery in the Volt, the Chevrolet Volt, the first generation Volt. Now, there are more than 3 sections there, John. We have a scan tool, which I'll come to in a second. But yeah, so there's multiple sections of the battery. And there are multiple thermistors, which are like little tiny electronic components. I don't have any to hand. I have some resistors. I had some resistors on my desk yesterday, and I don't know where I put them. Thermistors are like special electronic components that change their electrical resistance to current flow based on how hot or cold. And sometimes you can have ones that get their resistance goes down when it gets hot, and sometimes they go up when it gets hot. Whichever way around it is for this car, it's a very cheap component. Thermistors are cheap, right? But they can also fail pretty easily. And one of the well-known issues with the Chevrolet Volt, that's with a V, is that this thermistor can fail. And when that thermistor fails, the battery goes, hey, I don't know what's going on. The computer that controls the car goes, I don't know. I'm seeing an open circuit, which means I can't read the temperature, and there might be something wrong with the battery. And so I'm not going to let you drive. the car normally, or I'm going to cause some issues. That means that you're going to struggle to drive the car normally. Michael was experiencing these issues, and it got to the point where the car was not wanting to even work properly. It was doing low power mode and everything else. And so what we decided we were going to do was we would try and fix it for him. So I purchased one of these. I do apologize. Would you mind stopping that? My dog is on the floor and having a good scratch, and he gets vocal when he has a good scratch. As dogs do. Anyway, we purchased one of these. It's a diagnosis reader that you plug into the onboard diagnostics port. Then you connect that to a computer. And please, sir. Ghost, we're finished with that. Please, come here. Come here. We tried connecting this computer to the computer to his car, and yesterday I took out a subscription to the GDS, the Tech Connect system that AC Delco has. That it's an official Chevrolet thing. Thank you very much, Lester. You're very kind for dog treats. He's been really quiet this morning. He has a ball in his mouth. He's just wanting attention. Anyway, we haven't mentioned yet. We're getting there. I'm kind of giving you the backstory because I know a lot of people come to these live streams going, "What's going on? I don't want to know. I want to know what's going on." So I connected this up. I purchased the software, which I ran on here on Windows 10. It's an old Transport Evolved laptop that we can't use to edit videos anymore because it's too old, but it still runs Windows 10. So we put Windows on it. I was able to connect it. Side note, if you buy one of these online, I bought this off of Amazon because it's the only place I could buy it affordably. The software that they give you with this, they give you a USB drive with software on it. It is full of bugs and spyware and viruses. So do not install the software. I learned that the hard way, and I had to do some serious antivirus cleanup afterwards. But I went to GM's website. I paid for a subscription. I downloaded the software on a clean install that didn't have any bugs in it. I connected to Michael's car. I was able to clear the error, and you have to clear the error. There was a technical service bulletin for this error, and this is the error, P0AE9. And if you look for that error online, there is a TSB, a technical service bulletin, that tells you what you have to do, and it lists the steps, right? You have to connect your program. You use the SIS2 programming tool, which is part of the Tech Connect suite, to reprogram that module and recalibrate it. Now, I was able to reflash the control module that it told me to. With the latest software, I was able to clear the errors. I went for a lovely little drive. When I got back and plugged the car in, the error came back. And I did that 2 or 3 times, clearing the errors properly in the process. Now, this error, when it sets that error, as far as I'm aware, the only way to get rid of that error is to completely reflash that component and start again, which is what I did. And I've done that, I think, 4 times now, but it keeps happening. Now, the technical service bulletin says that there's a way to reprogram spare sensors. That's what I'm inferring from that technical service bulletin. You can recalibrate it to refix those errors. It's from the EV side. It's the Chevrolet Volt with a V. So we tried reprogramming it. It didn't work. And I don't mind investing a little bit of money and time in that because we have a Chevrolet Bolt. I personally own a Bolt with a B, and this also works with the Ford F-150 Lightning, and we have a problem with one of our software updates. So I should be able to use this to connect the to make sure if in the future if I need to do a software update, I can do that with the Bolt, and I can do it with the Ford F-150 as well. So I can probably update the Ford F-150 using this, and the Ford what's it called? Ford FDRS software, which again, you may not know this, but most automakers, all modern cars have one of these ports, right? You just plug in and you can reprogram. And for a fee, usually somewhere between 50 and $100, you can access for a couple of days, a weekend, whatever. You can access the online service that all garages have access to, and you can upload software and you can fix the software and do all of that yourself if you are a DIY mechanic. Obviously, if your vehicle is in warranty, you may not want to do that. It's up to you. But someone was saying most OBD2 sensors work with most cars. You can use Torque. You can read the errors with something like Torque. You can clear the errors in some cases. But when it comes to this particular error here, this P0AE9, you cannot clear that with Torque or just your regular over-the-counter ODB2 to Bluetooth dongles or software. You have to have one of these. You have to have a GM service tool or something equivalent. And the reason is that because this is an error involving the high voltage battery pack, if anything was to go wrong, it would be dangerous, right? It would be dangerous for the car. It would be dangerous for things. So you need, as Border 39 says, you need specific software, which is what we did. And Stefan was asking the update for the F-150 that keeps falling. No, we haven't managed to get it to work yet, which is one of the other reasons why I was like, I can force it on this probably. So I connected the Volt to GM, to its official, and you have to have an internet connection, and it connects back to the server at General Motors, and it makes sure it has the correct software, and everything is right. No, everything was completely cleared, right? So the 12-volt battery was not the issue. The codes were completely cleared. They were cleared in hardware. When you reflash the controller, which is what we did, we reflashed it with the latest software. It came back after about 20 minutes. So, and it didn't come back initially as a permanent code. It came back as a pending code, and then I watched it go from pending to current. So pending codes are when there's an error and the car isn't sure if it's a permanent, if it's a pending code is a code that happens. The car watches it for a while. Its computer watches it. Then it decides if it's actually a current code. And if that carries on, then it gives you a warning light. If that error continues, you have to fix the error by either replacing the thing that it's giving you an error out or by clearing the error code. Sometimes the error codes can be cleared. In this case, you cannot clear the error code. The only way you can clear it is to reflash the faulty unit. Now, we initially thought this is a 12-volt battery issue because we had this 12-volt battery die last week. We thought that was the issue. However, they did not clear it, and this is the issue. We have this faulty sensor. Now, with all of the information that we have, with this error here, with everything else, I've told Michael to ring up a few local repair shops. He spoke to Bob's Chevrolet and asked to speak to, they're not actually called Bob's Chevrolet, the local dealership I had an issue with recently. And they wouldn't let him speak to a technician. It was just a service representative, and they didn't want to let him speak to anybody who actually understands the car. They were just like, no, this is a we would have to just drop the battery pack and replace it completely, and then saying you have to replace the entire battery pack. Now, on this channel, and I feel this is important, we do focus on longevity of ownership, right? Of being able to, or longevity, depending on how you want to say it, right? The software, I think Robert's just pointed out here, a Volkswagen technician once explained to me that reflashing sometimes is not enough, that you need to wipe and reflash, but he had some special software for that. Now, I've tried replace and reprogram, and it did the same thing. So we can see, but I think it's still showing up. Now, I'll take it for a drive again later, because it's currently not showing the error because I reflashed it again this morning. It appears that this problem keeps coming back, and I think that the recalibration is going to need to be done differently. And like the local Chevrolet, Bob Chevrolet, the one that I'm calling Bob Chevrolet that isn't called Bob Chevrolet, they have said no, we'd charge you $260, $270 to diagnose the problem, and then it's probably a new battery pack. Sorry, sucks to be you. All right, so that's the first thing. I don't think that's the case. Now, if I had access to a shop where we could drop the battery, we could actually do some actual, sorry, I just hit my edit wheel. We'd have some actual access to the battery. We could drop the battery down, and we could actually diagnose that thermistor. Now, thermistors are pretty cheap. I'm sure someone somewhere on this internet knows how to drop the battery pack and replace this faulty thermistor. If that is truly what the problem is, that should be doable, and it should cost less than $1,000. Which is why I'm reaching out to all of you, because I know for a fact, based on conversations that I've had, and the reason I'm doing it this way is so that people can anonymously get in touch with us. This is a new email address. It is just for this. Help us out at transportevolved.com. I do not want people to email me going, have you tried this, this, and this? Because I'm going to ask you to trust that we have followed all of the diagnosis instructions that we were able to access by subscribing to GDS or Tech Connect and SIS2, I think, are the two software. I took out a subscription to be able to reprogram modules, and I took out a 3-day subscription to GM's technical diagnosis software. Okay. So I've been able to use that to interrogate that module, and it keeps coming back with an error again and again and again. It is in our interests as a channel promoting cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter transport to encourage people who want to own older vehicles to be able to know exactly how things would be. Do I have any idea of how much a new battery would be, roughly? I don't. I mean, GM have quoted over 10 grand in the past. Have I reached out to Reach Rebuilds? No, I haven't. But I want to make sure that we do it as close to GM tech spec as we can. And this is the reason why I'm saying this now. I know that there are lots of people who watch this channel who are in the industry. Let's leave it at that. Whenever I go to a launch event, engineers very often will come up and go, oh, I watch your channel, it's pretty good. Or I like the thing that you guys did on, because we tend to not be airy-fairy about stuff. We tend to be like, this is good because, this is not good because, and engineers tend to like that. So I know that there are people at GM who watch this. I know that there are people who are at other automakers who watch this. And I also know that there are plenty of people, excuse me. Out you go. You stay out. If you're going out, you're staying out. There you go. I know that there are people who are at OEMs who watch this. There are people at Tesla, Rivian, Aptera. There are people at GM. There are people at Ford. There are people, all of the European automakers. I know there are people who watch this who are based in India, in China. So I know that there are plenty of there are plenty of people who are cool. We're not road tripping to Rich Rebuilds. I'm sorry. We're not. Terminology is touchy here. There are 9 batteries in the pack? You don't need to replace the entire pack, just the one sensor and 1 battery. Well, here we go again, right? So a tech shop, a dealership is not going to want to replace one thing on a battery. It takes them longer to do that than just to drop out the battery and put a new one in. No, we're not going to contact Rich for help because I want to try and get a GM tech who understands this to help us, an actual trained GM tech. Okay. To make sure that we are doing things exactly right. Okay. And here's the reason why. I helped this person, I helped Michael get this car. Okay. And I know that Michael has had a really terrible couple of years he's had a couple of years of bad luck, and he's probably going to kill me for saying this. He is the most kind and caring person. He really goes out of his way to help people and has done for years. He's a good egg. Not once has he ever turned around and said no to me when I've asked him to do something for the channel. Not once has he turned around and said, oh, this is too difficult, this is too hard. His attitude has always been, how can we fix this? And I know right now he has no transport, right? He has no car, has no transport. Now, my partner and I have offered him the use of one of our cars, the Bolt. We have 2 cars. We can survive on one for a while. And one of you kind people watching this has also offered a car that you're about to sell and said, hey, if you want to borrow this for a couple of weeks, that'd be great. And I would love folks to do that. And no, we're not reaching out to Monroe. Look, we're not reaching out to another YouTuber because there's one person who I'm going to email who we've worked with in the past who might be able to help. God. All right. Okay. That is not a sustainable solution. I know you mean well. But this is somebody who couldn't afford a Tesla, right? This is someone who has a vehicle that suits their needs that has broken, and we're just trying to help get it back on the road. This is about right to repair. This is about learning how to do it right and how to push things forward. This is not something that we can spend thousands of dollars driving across the other side of the country to fix. It's just not. We need to find someone who we can talk to over the phone, someone locally, someone who understands the Volt, who has existing experience. This is not a project car. This is someone's personal driving vehicle, okay? So if you are a Volt tech and you know the Volt and you actually want to, help us figure out exactly what might be the problem, I would love to hear from you. So with the rest of the team. So Michael had a bad run of luck. He had a beautiful car, his Fiat 500 that he adored, that he loved. He really loved that car. Yeah, That's exactly why we're not going to go to Rich. Thank you for putting that. It's not about, it's not shipping the car around the country, or we're not doing this for clickbait, right? So Michael had a car. He had a lovely car, a Fiat 500. He loves manual transmissions. He owned it for years. He had paid it off. It was his car. And somebody hit him. It was a hit and run. He was waiting to pick up his partner from an event. He was sat at the side of the road, parked in a parking space, safely and legally in Portland. Someone in a muscle car came tearing into the junction. They ran the stop sign. It was late at night. They ran the stop sign. They were drifting. They drifted as they came around the corner, and they smashed his car with him in it. Now, I've said to him that if the car that was driving recklessly, and by the way, didn't stop, just carried straight on, so it was a hit and run. So he didn't have the insurance details or the driving license, and there were no cameras and anything. If that car had hit his car a few millimeters, few inches in either direction, it would have crushed him, and he would be in a wheelchair. The whole front end of his car was shifted over in one direction. The whole car twisted, the whole frame twisted. When I saw him, I said to him, that car's not gonna, I'm sorry, Stella's gone. So, we have he had, at the time, he was just about to start working for Transport Evolved. He had been laid off in another job that he was working in a different industry, and he didn't have, he'd been laid off on that job through no fault of his own. The company he worked for was closing down. And Transport Evolved was in a position to be able to offer him a job, and we did, and we helped him get that car. I.e., I went and helped him test that car out, and at the time it was great. It was a good car. It wasn't too expensive. I mean, it was quite expensive. He's paying still for that car, right? He's having to pay finance charges after not having, after having paid off his previous car. He's now back to having to pay a loan. He's got several more years to pay on that car. It's an asset that he is, I think, probably still, he's not in a profit situation. It's not something he can just sell it and go and buy a new one, right? This is a car that we need to help him fix, and that's why we're doing this video. All right. Since then, at his apartment, and again, I don't think he's had continued crappy luck. He had someone break into his garage this year and took stuff in his garage. Excuse me. And earlier this year, someone hit him in the vault. There was an accident. Someone ran into the back of him. So he's had a really crappy year. He has really had a crappy year. And I know he's probably looking at the potential repair bill and going, how is this going to be possible? So it was one of the reasons why I grabbed this. And I want to be able to help out my team as best as I possibly can. But I am now at a point where I either need someone to help me help him by fixing it, or we need to find someone who's willing to help us find out exactly why we cannot reprogram this or do it. And we've got to figure out how to get him another car. Either repair this one or help him fix it. Either help him fix it or figure out a way to get him back on the road. And so anything you guys can offer would really be gratefully received. You know, we are not flush with cash. So it's not like we're not like a lot of YouTube channels where we've got like 80 grand in the bank and we can just, oh, let's just fix this and spend 50 grand on the car or whatever and fix it, right? We can't do that as a channel. And I don't think that anybody here wants us to go, oh, well, we'll just, scrap that car and be done with it. Because, if for every person like Michael who works at a company who has an ability to talk about this publicly, there are 100 other people who all have these cars who, when it goes wrong, have to go to the dealer, and the dealer goes, that's going to be $260 to fix it, to diagnose it, and then we're going to charge you another $1,000 to take it apart, and then maybe we'll give you more hassle after that. That's not fair on him, but it wouldn't be fair on anybody. We're all in a situation where financially times are tough. So knowledge is super important here, and I think it's very apparent that the Bob's Chevrolet, not their real name, are not interested in that car anymore. They have treated Michael much worse than they've treated me multiple times now. I just want to be able to get this back on. So it's a 2012. So for those who know, and this brings, this brings us to another issue, right? I can help Michael drive to work. We have a Bolt with a B. We have the F-150. Right now, for the next month or so, my wife is still working at home. She doesn't have to start commuting until I think March, and then she has to go back to her office and start commuting. Until that point, we don't need two cars sitting on the driveway, right? After that point, I need a vehicle as well, because I need to be in an emergency. We need to be able to get somewhere, right? But for now, we can lend Michael the Bolt. One of you kind people have offered the use of a car that you're about to sell, and I think Michael will probably be reaching out at some point. We don't know at this point. It didn't start until the battery died, and after the 12-volt battery died, it's a challenge, right? So I would like us to be able to help Michael out, and if we can make a video about it and how we actually solve the problem without spending thousands of dollars, without paying the dealer thousands of dollars to just fix it, then we'll be in a better position, right? And we do it under the auspice of going, hey, there is this challenge. Either there is a shop locally that we can take it to who are not going to charge us $400 just to go, well, it's broken, because I think that's probably what Bob's Chevrolet will do. I suspect that there is somebody who knows how to do this, who knows how to do it. I heard Mike's Chevrolet is a lot better. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you'll have to drop the pack to get to all of those sensors. Don't be sorry about it, Lester. I think that's okay. Dropping a pack is not a problem. I've been to a shop before where they've dropped the pack on my Leaf in literally 10 minutes. I was there. I watched it. But it's all about finding the right shop. So again, if you're watching this and you live in Portland, Oregon, and you know of a shop that would like to tackle this and not charge an arm and a leg, let's talk. We have this email, right? This is the email. Help us out at transportevolved.com. Everybody on my team is like a family member to me, and I try my damnedest to help them. And I wish that I had the money just to fix it for them, or to, I just write a blank check, go fix it, right? But I'm not Linus. I'm not all of these other big channels who've got a lot more income and a lot more money. We are a small channel. We are a small team. And repair is important, because if we want this, I'm losing faith in EVs. And I'm not losing faith in EVs as a form of transport, because I think EVs are great. I love EVs. I've been driving EVs for 20 years nearly. I love EVs. But unless and until we as a community can actively encourage people to learn how to fix these vehicles, and automakers to stop gatekeeping under the auspice of, well, it's too dangerous for you guys to touch, which, there are some things you shouldn't touch. You shouldn't, lick a high voltage battery pack. But just like, the common sense of you shouldn't lick a high voltage battery pack. We've been working on combustion engine vehicles for years. And I think everybody knows you shouldn't have a lighted match around a pot of gasoline, right? Sometimes people do dumb and they break themselves or their car. It's not that they're difficult to work with. It's just that the information is not available. So the whole purpose of this live stream, the whole purpose of this appeal is, hey, if you know how to do this, if you know someone, if you know a garage, a dealership who's been really good with these cars in the past, help us out, and then we will share what we have learned with you all, because the Chevrolet Volt is one of the better electric, extended range electric vehicles, or plug-in hybrids, whatever you want to call it, for people who rent. Which brings us to these two cars we've got on the fleet, right? So Kate Walton Elliott, she has an EV. Her partner has an EV. I have an EV. My partner has an EV. Collectively, on our Transport Evolved fleet right now, we have the F-150 Lightning. We have the Chevrolet Bolt with a B, both my cars. Kate Walton Elliott has the Niro EV, or the e-Niro, depending on which country you're in, and also a Kia Soul EV, one of the early ones. And of course, we have two project cars, the Honda, which we haven't had any money to spend. That's why the Honda hasn't happened. We just haven't had the money to spend on fixing it. Costs have just gone through the roof. We also have the Kate's car, her Morris Minor, that she is converting to electric. And there is progress there, but it's slow because she's doing it in her spare time. And then we have two Chevrolet Volts. Erin, our animator and thumbnail guru, she owns a 2017, I want to say. I think it's a 2017 Chevrolet Volt with a V. She either owns a 17 or a 19, and I can't remember which. But she owns a Chevy Volt, the second generation. The Volt that Michael owns is a 2012, so it's a first generation that was made in the second year of production. Now, we know that this problem, this P0AE whatever, is a problem that we have seen mentioned hundreds of times. It's a common problem. We know it's an issue. We're working to try and find more sources of information about it. But there's a substantial amount of gatekeeping going on. GM software is not the easiest to use. Like, sometimes it would just randomly not want to connect. Sometimes I've only just earlier on today, I finally figured out how to differentiate between VIN programming and diagnostic launching, because you have to launch it in a browser. To click a button in a browser after you've logged into the website, which will then launch the program into whichever module reprogramming or diagnostics that you set up. And you have to have two sets of subscriptions. You have to have a subscription to diagnose problems. You have to have a subscription to program modules. If you want to access the factory manuals, you need to spend more money, which I haven't done yet. And maybe I will do that. Maybe the answer lies there. And so that's, it's a shame. we had a similar vintage Volt totaled by insurance because it wasn't repairable due to parts no longer being obtainable. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if we're going as if gas is not dangerous. That was kind of my point earlier, right? If we can work on a car with explosive gases, right? We can also work on a car that has a battery pack, as long as you follow the appropriate precautions, just like you would follow appropriate precautions for a gas vehicle, right? So probably was approvable but not repairable, but not in a Chevy approved way. And that sucks, doesn't it? That really sucks. Doesn't that make you feel frustrated and angry? I have long thought about the future of this channel and what I want it to be, and I've become more and more disillusioned with the hero worship of Elon Musk. It drives me up the wall. The way that people put Elon Musk on a pedestal. I don't think anybody should be put on a pedestal. We have to take people for the sum of what they are, but we also have to consider how they behave and how they react to other people as well. I would much rather see a world where everybody gets equal access to vehicles, and that, software and parts are not gate kept the way they are. And so, for a long time, I've just got fed up, and I know you guys have got fed up because you've seen we've seen the analytics, right? Whenever we get a brand new car to review, if the car is a sticker price of more than 30 grand, people don't want to know about it. 35, maybe 40 grand. You get a few more, but anything above 40 grand, people just don't want to know about it. They can't afford it. And the same is true for used vehicles. If we want EVs to be truly affordable and available to everybody, we need to work on training people who aren't just working at authorized dealerships, who have, a profit to protect, who are happy to charge you nearly $300 for an hour of work to tell you that the car is broken, but not how to fix it. And we need to have this open discussion, right? I pulled this error off. Green Tech is repairing and selling refurbished Volt batteries. Someone in here must have a connection with the right tech to repair this pack. Yes. Someone put me in touch with Green Tech. Someone help me help Michael. Like I say, I would do the same if it was Kate, if it was Erin, anyone on this team. I want my team to have the same kind of access on to repair and to keep things on the road. And Michael likes repairing. He doesn't like repairing things. If it's mechanical, he'll repair it, but he doesn't like electronics. It's not about not having the skill. It's about not knowing how to fix it. That's the challenge. And right to repair is something we need to push for. Right to repair is essential. So I was telling you, on my bad days, on my really bad days, when I've had enough of covering another blow up in the EV world, or another price rise, or price gouging, or any of these other things, what I really want to do is to establish a charity, right? And as long as I can make somewhere along the line, as long as me as a person can pay my salary, which I can't do right now, but I would love to be involved in a charity or an organization that teaches people who have had, I'm going to swear, a shit time in life, whether that is they grew up in a disadvantaged community or something else, but who have plenty of brains and a willingness to learn, can learn to fix and repair these vehicles. Then we are onto something. Without that pathway to third party, without that pathway to right to repair, without using our brains to make sure that our vehicles can continue on the road for a long period of time, we are effed as a society. We have to be able to develop this right to repair movement. We have to have access to these tools and parts. It's just important. Shops fixing ICE cars are struggling to keep up with demand. It figures that it's even harder to find keep technicians who are focused on BEVs, aside from right to repair. I know. And one of the reasons why I still have my Aptera reservation in queue, my queue place, my Aptera queue place, is because Aptera have said they want to support right to repair. And that is something that's very near and dear to my heart personally. Like I say, I said on 10 that I thought that, allowing people to jump the queue by giving extra money stank. That doesn't say that wasn't me saying I didn't think they should do it. It was just like, it's an unfortunate, again, I'm going to swear, it's an unfortunate, shitty situation that they find themselves in. And while I personally wish that they had not had to do that, I understand why they did that. And I didn't make that clear on 10 on Saturday. So no, same thing, right? Any company. So we have to be better about what we're doing and what we're using. One of the reasons why I really love the retro computing world, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. There is I'm into retro Macs, classic Macs. They weren't classic Macs when I first got into them, but classic Macs. And there is a project called the Macintosh Garden, and it's basically a whole archive of what we call abandonware. Abandonware being software that was written that at one point was commercial, but which is no longer commercial, is no longer sold or supported, but is there for you to download and use because it's allows you to keep your old retro Mac running, right? It's why I like projects like PySCSI, which I'm fighting my PySCSI right now. This is my PySCSI right there. It's why I like projects like the PySCSI. It's why I like projects like the BlueSCSI. It's why I like the projects. There's a hard drive. It's a guy called DOSDude1. I think his name's Chris, who has designed an IDE SSD that he's making in small volumes that allow you to keep an old retro Mac or PC with an IDE drive running and operating, because all of the spinning iron hard drives are all starting to fail. It's projects like that that I love because they have a big community of people who are willing to keep those software and those programs running. Someone hacked iTunes on a classic Mac OS 9 system so that you can still listen to internet radio on an app that is 20 plus years old. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that amazing? Wouldn't that be great if we had that with the EV world? I mean, we still do with the original RAV4 EV. There's still a really enthusiastic group of people who keep those on the road. The same thing with the original Prius, right? Lots of people work on repairing Priuses. You've got Luscious Garage in San Francisco. Pretty much every major city now in America has a garage that has that knowledge of repair. So help Michael, so he doesn't have to pay thousands of dollars to fix this, because I don't think Michael or anyone else has that money. And I would love to pay Michael more money than I do. But, we just did our taxes yesterday. Once you account for the house and the mortgage and everything else, we actually turned a slight loss with this channel because, it is what it is. I would love to pay Michael more. I'd love to pay Erin more. I'd love to pay Kate more. But I want to be able to make a video about how we fixed this guy's car. Because I don't mean to cry, but I feel so strongly about this. I don't care how many brand new EVs come to market if their sticker price is more than, 40 grand. I would love every freaking day to make a video on this channel about some community project where someone has figured out how to keep these vehicles running. That is so much more important. So much more important. So, if you want to help someone who's had a really shitty year or two and who has to deal with that through no fault of their own, it wasn't his fault that someone hit him. It wasn't someone, he wasn't driving recklessly. Someone hit him and ran off. And the police in Portland were crap about it. And the insurance company were crap about it. And I know he didn't get I know how much money he got for his Fiat, and it wasn't much. So he then had to really strain himself to be able to afford this car. And he chose this car because it was going to help him save money on gas. And we were going to help him, we have solar panels here. I was going to help him charge it during the day. So it's at the house right now. If you are a Volt Tech, if you are someone who knows how to fix this particular problem, please tell me. Please help us. Help us out at transportevolve.com. I don't want, like I say, I don't want 100 emails going, have you tried this? Have you tried that? I want us to try and figure out how to fix this challenge. Also, please don't send us money because we don't have a Zelle account. There was a wonderful person who just tried to send us money through Zelle. We can't accept Zelle, and I don't want to accept money directly on behalf of Michael because that's not what I want. I want someone to help us figure out how we're going to fix this for as little as possible. Sure, if you want to help Michael out financially, that's something to talk to Michael about, but not yet. Are we buying him a Tesla yet? No, we're not. We want. This is not about repair. This is not about sweeping in and buying Michael a new car, right? Because at the end of the day, if that happens, great, wonderful. You're all generous, amazing people, and wow, look at that. I mean, you guys helped Erin, right? But that's not the point, right? Sweeping in and helping someone buy a new car doesn't fix the problem. And we want to fix the problem. Yeah? We want to fix the problem so that we can get it working. It's a shame about the Fiat 500e. It wasn't a Fiat 500e, it was a gas. It was a Fiat 500 Turbo. And oh my God, that car drove so amazingly. So you guys know, I've been driving electric since 2006. But that car just, it hit all the right spots. The first time Michael let me drive it, he's like, do you know how to drive stick? I'm like, do I know how to drive stick? And Stella was just so responsive and wonderful, and I was able to heel toe her. And I admit I did dump the clutch a couple of times. It's a little pocket rocket. Stella was just such an amazing car. Went round corners like she was on rails. There is a video on our channel. It was the video that Winter and I did when we had the on some other stuff. I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, right. Okay. So after we did the video with Winter, and we had the bikes, the roadsters. We had the roadsters and we filmed with the roadsters, and that was actually Michael helping us out with filming that day. We paid him as an independent that time around, or it was just before he joined us. And he still had Stella, and I think she was written off the day after or the day after that, like a couple of days after we filmed Stella was written off. And there is some video on our hard drives of Michael in front in his Fiat 500 Turbo peeling out of a side street. It was out of Rocky Point Road, heading towards Scappoose, and he had to really hoof it out because traffic, right? You just hear that engine, and it just the exhaust sounded amazing. And I'm going to be ashamed in saying that I loved the sound of his car and I loved the way it drove. But I'm also going to acknowledge there are better, more environmentally friendly ways of driving, and that's electric. The point is to fix it. It's a good car. Yeah. John, I don't know if you've had this problem personally or if you have read this in a forum, but can you email that to us? Because I want to know that this is due. Looks like I have this Facebook stream all to myself. Yeah, the Facebook stream, there's lots of people watching on YouTube, but mostly the Chevrolet. Okay. Oh, I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this. This is not about buying a new car. There is nothing clean and green about just buying a new car when this one is perfectly fine. It's like literally, if it is, there's three things it could be, right? It's either a thermistor, in which case drop the pack, put a new thermistor in, jobs are good. Or it's a something else. It's the module, the controller module's bust, in which case you buy a new module, put it in, program it, and off we go. Kind of a Hail Mary, but maybe a Greentech upgraded pack is the way to go. At least the core will get recycled. Yeah, okay. They run $6,000 and have a shot in PDX. If we can raise the money for that, we could do that. But that's a Michael challenge, not a Nikki challenge. If Michael wants people to help him afford that, that's a him problem. And I haven't had that conversation with him. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. I'm happy and comfortable to say, hey, help him fix it. But that's very different to let's buy a brand new battery and put it in. It's not about buying a new Tesla or a used Tesla or any other vehicle. This is about helping other people understand how to keep a perfectly functioning car other than this one error on the road. The carbon footprint of a new car is astro-freaking-nomical. The reason and I know someone's going to bring up the F-150 and I hate it. The F-150 Lightning was a vehicle that I would not have purchased had I not if I did not own this company, if I did not drive a car, if I did not have to drive to places like, San Francisco or LA or wherever, and have 20 grand's worth of camera equipment, weighing over 1,000 pounds with 5 adults in the vehicle, I wouldn't own that truck. I'd still own the Bolt, right? We bought that vehicle because we needed to use it for work purposes and the benefit of having a backup power system on a rural house in a rural place. It is how we feel about use of vehicles. You buy something that is appropriate for you. And I think that is the way we have to do it, It's not the answer. Buying a new car is not always the answer. Sometimes it is. And Teslas are not affordable to own. I'm sorry. Anybody who tells you so is lying, because Tesla charges you an arm and a leg for service. Tesla is affordable if you're using a third-party repair shop, but not for Tesla. And so let's get this car fixed. Let's get this car fixed on the road and get people doing the thing that we need everybody to do. Because Bob's Chevrolet, not their real name, is, do that. This is what we have. We have the VCX diagnostics thing. I have a subscription to GDS for another 2 years because they sell you a subscription. It's $45 for 2 years, right? That's a no-brainer. And you can do that. So I just got an email that says a message that says, LMAO, I love you all so darned much. He didn't actually say darned, but I'm just we feel the same, mate. The whole team. We want to help you get that car back on the road. And if it was Erin, if it was Michael, if it was Kate, we'd all be doing the same thing. Affordable is relative. Yeah. Not true that Teslas aren't affordable to own. Yeah, it is. If you own... So if you own your own house, right? If you own your own house, you're fine. If you don't own your own house, you're screwed. I just did my taxes yesterday, right? So because I run a business at home, I'm able to claim, I think about 25% of the house is devoted to Transport Evolved, right? We've got a server room, we've got the storage room, the filming room, and we film. We've got this room. It's about 25% of the house. So we can claim back 25% of our mortgage on the house. If you have a mortgage and you're paying your principal and interest, any interest you pay is a tax deductible thing. You can factor that into your taxes. And that means you're financially better off owning your own home than you are as renters. But if you are younger and you are starting to pay for a rental property and you want to save up, you can't afford to buy a house. And I know all these jokes about avocado toast and coffee. I mean, we made them when we did the video with Michael the other day. But if you are renting, the chances of you finding a rental property that is both affordable and has a charging station for an EV, almost impossible in many states. Yes, Oregon has a law that says you can ask for a charging station and your landlord has to provide you with one. But the reality is they can charge you whatever the heck they want for that privilege. And most people I know with EVs, they just try and figure out a different way of doing it. And many people who don't have an EV when they rent, they just go, I'm just going to have a plug-in hybrid. Then I can charge when I need to, which is why Michael and Erin have one. And just so that you know, those of you who are like, oh, everybody should be able to afford an EV. The reality is that's not true. My daughter, I'm so freaking proud of my daughter. And if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you'll know that my daughter and I have had some run-ins, right? It was my daughter in 2018, I think, 2019. My daughter joyrode my car. She took it without my permission. She joyrode it. She got herself into trouble with the cops. She ended up getting in trouble with a judge. She'd got in with the wrong people. And she's learned a lot because she lost her license before she even had it. She's not going to be able to drive for another 3 years. She left home when she was 18. She still had issues. We've worked really hard on our relationship. She's 20 this year. And she's a completely different person than she was when she was the Hellraiser getting into trouble. And I'm so freaking proud of her. She works 2 jobs. And she's currently in the process of looking for a new place to rent. Her current rental place is up. And she's moving out and going to find a new place, right? And so we are going to... she's looking for a place, right? And she's telling me all of the houses here on the west side of Portland, all of the apartments that she's seeing for rent that are not in a terrible part of town, $1,800 a month or more for what equates to two bedroom. You can get a 1 bed for less, but then you can't share that with somebody else and make it more affordable. I've seen a couple that are $1,400, $1,500, but they often have hidden fees. And And if you think that someone who's just starting out on in the world and want that, it's better. Michael literally said he'd managed fine with the Model 3. Yeah, he did. But and someone was saying Michael can't charge at Transport Evolved HQ. Yeah, Michael does charge his Volt here. But again, you tell us a car that was affordable, the same price that he paid for his Volt. I can't remember how much he paid, but it was a decent price. And in order to be able to, afford to buy the thing in the first place, you have to have the money up front. Again, a lot of people are going, yeah, but you can, it doesn't cost much to charge. And it's true, it doesn't cost much to charge. But the reality is you have to have that liquidity up front, either for a down payment or you have to have the credit score to be able to deal with a higher monthly payment. And banks don't like it if you go in and go, yeah, but I'm not going to be paying gas. That's not factoring into their loan agreement. If you think Portland is bad, check out rents in Vancouver. Yeah, we know. Rents, there are team members who live in Vancouver as well. It's completely valid to want a PHEV because it's more affordable than a long-range EV. Both can be suitable. Right, okay. So last year, Michael had to go up to get his... he had to go up to get something to do with his passport, right? He had to go to Seattle. And we helped him rent a car. We rented an EV for him to make that long distance trip because it was work related. It was related to work. Who's got a lift in PDX? Yeah, exactly. Help us out. Help us out with the contacts. We're not asking for someone to fix it for us. We're happy to fix it with you. What's the carbon footprint of on not replacing old unsafe car with new ones? Do you keep this track? I don't understand what you're saying. It's carbon. Are you saying that the Volt is unsafe? Because the car is 11 years old. The 11-year-old car is not unsafe. A 50-year-old car might be less safe. But a car made in 2012 should last longer than my Sony TV that was made in 2008. I have a TV in my bedroom that we took. It's funny. I have a TV in my bedroom that we purchased in 2008, right? It was purchased in the UK. And when we moved to America, a lot of people were like, it's not going to work in America. It won't work. It doesn't work. It won't work. Well, the receiver doesn't work because the receiver is different, right? But we don't use terrestrial TV signals. We watch stuff online. So we had an Apple TV. We had a couple of other ways of getting stuff in. So we brought it over with us. It still works. It's the one we watch TV when we're folding laundry or doing other stuff. Gearhead Garage we might try them. Gearhead Garage in Tigard, Oregon. Do-it-yourself shop with lifts and tools. If anybody is, again, we need a Volt trained technician to help us. If someone wants to come and offer their services to us and we can rent a garage like this for a couple of hours, it'd be great. I saw a previous episode about this car. Has something new broke on it? No, but we haven't fixed the old problem, Micah. That's the problem. Yeah, we can't. Great idea, Scenic Films, affordable tiny home in your backyard. Yeah, we can't do that. And my daughter wouldn't want to live here because she doesn't like living in the country. Like, we are so far out, and she doesn't have we don't have public transit, and she doesn't have access. She wants to live somewhere with her friends. But we cannot also have a tiny house here. I know this because my niece wanted to stay here in her tiny house, and we were up for it until we looked on the rules, and it's against our local county rules. Yeah, I know. So we've been down that road. Anyway, if you have any ideas, email us, help us out at transportevolve.com. Reach out, ask for our help. Try and see if you can help us help ourselves and fix this. I'm hoping that Michael will be willing to borrow the Bolt or some other car for a couple of weeks, and that we can fix. We can buy a couple of weeks, right? If we can buy a couple of weeks and fix this and make a video about it, that would be awesome, right? We're not talking about clickbaity stuff. This is real world. This is why we are all right to repair advocates, every single one of us. Look, I'm proving it to you. This is how right to repair we are. This is my own personal iFixit kit, right? I just bought a new thing for it, actually. I bought a Mac Cracker. It's not really a Mac Cracker, but we did that, all right? My tools. I've got all the tools right here. It's all about repair and replace. And you repair first before you replace. And you recycle. And you keep things going. It's why I've got this. I don't have this because I want to be like elite hacker and go down the road and pop all the Tesla charge inlets, although that is fun. Not that I know. But this is so that I can mod the world around me and I can get things to do things that I want them to. Same thing here, right? This, if you know what this is just a little solution to a problem. Rather than buying a whole new computer, this is like an IDE to SD card thing. It doesn't work on certain classic Macs, but it allows you to keep things functional and operating. So it does have ODB2. Go back, watch it from the beginning. That's what we have for here. All right. So help me help Michael. All right. There's going to be a video coming later on, a sponsored video with the wonderful Energy Sage folks. I'm working on it right now. It's on this screen. The reason why you kept hearing weird stuff is because it's gone to sleep now. But I was working on that video, and every time I go into it, it does. There you go. You can hear it in the background. In fact, if I do this. Listen, it's the binars. And if you don't get the binars reference, you may not understand why we want to try and fix this ourselves. All right, guys, keep evolving.